You know, it's as I'm. Oh my goodness, I'm just gonna keep this. It's as I'm sitting here. Bleh, let's just get into this thing. I'll talk about it. Another Eldritch Parasite run, by the way. I don't mind doing so many Eldritch Parasite runs. We have a mini-series going on anyway, or I do. But, fine, so be it. Yo, Gothdag, by the way, but as we do our best to survive here. So pretty much just throw the character out the window, throw the characters, so anything special about the character out the window, save for a few things that might make things different. But as we get into Gothdag, Eldritch Parasite, 3 custom mysteries, and a custom character. Just to go over the stats, even though we're on Eldritch Parasite. Strength, Dexterity at 4, Perception at 7, Knowledge at 7, for Charisma. And moving on. Charisma, second mystery, Tachi-san Light, second encounter, Strength, every single non-stat check, but we're going to take upwards of 6 stamina if we don't get 8 knowledge, which, I mean, isn't all bad, but because we're on an Eldritch Parasite run, you know what time it is. But, anywho. So, there was a specific reason, and I'll if I remember what I was going to talk about off World of Horror, then I will, but for the moment here. So, I wanted to talk about specifically, as we're in Eldritch Parasite, as we have Recluse, Akamanto, Phantasms, Labyrinth, and a whole lot of pain. There are a few bonuses that you can give a custom character that will make them a lot better on Eldritch Parasite. The most obvious of those being the spells Mind Drain and or Ghostly Spear, because then you don't have to roll on this on the History Club to figure out. Now, we do have Fast Swimmer. Unfortunately, it's useless for the strategy I'm using, but if you didn't want to do this, then yes, any of the better, objectively, in my opinion, perks like Fast Swimmer, Core Strength, and or Adrenaline will help out immensely on an Eldritch Parasite run because you will take less damage the less turns you are in an encounter. And on the flip side of things that you do not want to see a custom character start with on an Eldritch Parasite run, I was looking at the Gruesome Totem for a second, are spells or bonuses such as anything that has to do with healing, really. So soft drink, painkillers, if you want to go that far, cauterize the spell. Anything, like I said, anything that would heal you because you can't heal. But as we sit here just waiting for one of 2 spells, again, this is just the price you pay. It can be anywhere from, hey, not a lot of doom, to, as you are seeing on screen here. So as much as this seems like it, this is not an Eldritch Parasite, not part of the Eldritch Parasite miniseries. If you want to know what that's about, that's essentially playing a certain character and playing Eldritch Parasite runs. So that's all I really have to say on that. As for what's happening on screen here, yeah, that's, I mean, if we take all the doom in the world, then, hey, looking for 2 spells. Again, allow me to reiterate. My words are not working. I am recording this very early in the morning, despite what you see in the chat. It's actually a lot earlier than that. So, yeah, but what I've said before is that if you have to roll on just 1 spell in the History Club, I don't think it's worth it. But if you're looking for 2 or even 3 spells, preferably 3, but 2 is workable, then History Club rerolling is somewhat viable. I don't think I've ever gone past 50-60% Doom, and if I have, it's only happened once that as far as I remember. Also because you have things like Monument and whatnot, and I wanted it to ask for stamina, preferably. But even with all of that Doom, if you know what you're doing, I think you still, like, again, you could spend upwards of 40-50% Doom, and it's not going to be easy, but it's doable. So I think it was the hospital. I don't remember because I was going off. Nope, it was the forest, which I would rather put in. So, switching. Also, I filled the empty bottle with water. I should not have done that because, as I just said, you cannot heal. But you can just drink it and get nothing from it anyway, so hey. But yeah, at this point, again, I might as well talk about Eldritch Parasite. If I were on another backstory and or backstory god combination, we could talk about some strategy there. There's still a lot to talk about, even though World of Horror is not the most... I do feel it's not the most complicated game to learn. On a scale of 1... If I were to give it a scale of 1 to 5, it would definitely be below 3. Probably 2. Also, we're going to take the Cursed Doll, because if we run into an all encounter, that's a very specific use case, because you would rather lose 50% chance of losing 1 stamina against a preferably 2 all encounter on an Eldritch Parasite run where you also have Ghostly Spear, because then you can use the stamina, then spend the max stamina dealing damage. So essentially you get double damage off of 1 or 2 stamina, as opposed to, as I said, as I rolled an 11 on Charisma, as opposed to just taking 2 all damage, so 2 stamina and 2 reason. I think the numbers make sense. If it doesn't, well, hey. But speaking of other kind of, not roguelike, but other games I've been playing, I've been trying to get back into Frostpunk 2 specifically, because if you didn't already know, there was a major update in the last month. I just couldn't get back to it because I was busy playing against the storm. So, I think I do have the handcuffs here, but if we can do a thing, I mean, I could just kick this, but we have the stamina to spare at the moment. We don't need to take a risk. And by risk, I mean human error, because I've missed handcuff tech before. But, as we sit here, we can also equip the Crestfallen Mask and get more Doom. And then get time skip, because why not? But this is part of the run. But yeah, just branching out to other games while I have the chance, because things may change in the future for me. And if they do, well, they do. And if they don't, they don't. Not game dev-wise. Game dev-wise, I'm always going to have things available. I usually try to work with... Oh, I didn't mean to actually do that. I do try to work with a weaker setup, if that makes any sense, for game dev, because I usually like to make games more accessible, even though that doesn't make any sense. In the scope of what I am trying to... of the audience I'm trying to appeal to, it doesn't make as much sense to look for accessibility, although accessibility is nice. It doesn't make as much sense, basically, to look for accessibility rather than making a good game. Accessibility should come after making a good game, because you can make a game accessible, but it can be very bad, or you can make a very good game and not have it be as accessible, but still. I mean, you preferably want both, but if you had to trade one for the other, at least I would say I would rather have a good game that's less accessible to me than a game that is more accessible but not as great. There's an actual example of this, and it happens to be about a certain dungeon, but hey, and by that I mean that's devil's argument, devil's advocate to my own argument, where that game wasn't as accessible when I played it, but it is a good game. I won't deny that. It's just unfortunate. So there is there is a certain level in which you do need a game to be accessible. Otherwise, like, people won't be able to play it as well. But I feel that threshold is a lot higher in terms of, if it's not accessible, it'll fail, compared to just having a good game. So, hey. I guess we might as well take Fast Swimmer. We can't use any of the other perks anyway. I'll take Knowledge later. I should be able to level up again, but if I can't, that would be really weird. But anywho. Quick random question, if you want to be trivia'd on World of Horror, is that I believe you can, but just to be sure, can you require a bottle of water specifically? So, more specifically, can you make it required so that you must have a bottle of water and not just an empty bottle? I'm pretty sure, right? You would just have to put in the same syntax, but anywho, I don't know why I looked at it. I was thinking about throwing it, but then I remembered I have Ghostly Spear. Yeah, that's a question more for people who know about modding World of Horror, really, but I guess we're gonna roll on hitting 3 of these 80%. One of them is 90%, but you get the point. That was really close, by the way, but hey. And now we have a box cutter for our next encounter. I forgot my second encounter, by the way, so that's not good. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't Akamanto. But I guess we'll see. Labyrinth, on the other hand, is thankfully going to be a bit easier now that we're on Eldritch Parasite. Ghostly Spear, the problem is if I still die 2 stamina, or Doom in this case, because usually, again, funny enough, I get Ghostly Spear and or Mind Drain within 20% Doom, which pretty much is equal, from my experience, to getting a weapon. Unless you tree for funds to get a weapon, but that... Again, I've gone over it before, and essentially it's RNG in terms of the curses you get, because you get really bad curses like Branded, Survivor's Guilt, and with no way to remove curses, and then you just become sad. Or you get things that are relatively harmless, like I don't remember what's relatively harmless at the moment, because I'm trying to survive. And I forgot the exact curses. I'm sure there are 2 that you could just take and be like, oh, it's not as bad. But, yeah, it could be bad later on. So, yeah, we're just going to Ghostly Spear this. I think we're actually at max 20 stamina, but considering what we have, I'm going to actually Curse Stall just to be safe. And then we Box Cutter, because we have it. Now, I hope these Box Cutters don't break. It did, but hey. reminding myself that I only get 15 experience for that garbage, but if it was anything more than 20 experience, then it might be a little bit much. Even though that is one of the most, I think that's one of the most hardest balanced encounters I've ever run into in World of Horror. There are obviously other encounters that are just absolutely wild, like they deal 99 stamina damage. I'm sure that exists somewhere, and not exactly that number, but you get the point. But yeah, anywho. So, what do we get? Folklore Studies, yeah, so another thing you can give a character bonus-wise is the Daddy's Girl perk, which does nothing on Eldritch Parasite. But anywho. Yeah, then we just take stats. I think we do have a strength check, so we might as well take strength. If we don't, if you're on an Eldritch Parasite and you fall to about 3 stamina or below, you're probably not doing so well, unless you're at the end of the run, but that's a different story. But anywho, moving on. Yeah, so speaking of games, some people might wonder, as I thankfully passed that check to save myself some doom, but you might be wondering, well, Jordan, if you're making an RPG Maker game, how come I don't see you playing a lot of RPG Maker games, even though there is literally one I played on this channel? It doesn't look like it, but that falls in line with, I think most people in the game RPG Maker scene will tell you, although there is some nuance to it, that the less your game looks like an RPG Maker game, then yeah, as it turns out, the more successful it is likely to be. Nice 12 roll, by the way. Tried to slide that past me, eh? But it's Little Goody Two Shoes. Little Goody Two Shoes was made with RPG Maker. I'm pretty sure it was, unless I'm completely wrong for some reason. I swear I read that, I'm like, if nowhere else, then on the press kit for the game. But hey, you know, we have a good chance of getting, in fact, we have a good chance of getting 9 damage. So we're gonna do this and keep an eye on what we can and cannot do. So we are at 19 stamina. If possible, I would like to save more stamina, but I think I'm just going to play it safe. And yeah, so that makes things a lot better for myself. I'm just going to throw the empty bottle, and we're going to gamble here on 280%. Okay, good. We actually did 4 damage, so even better. But you never know, right? Actually, at this point, I should have sold some items to try and get a pack of cigarettes. In fact, I might do that now. But yeah, this is what I mean by if you know what you're doing, and I just so have, like, I don't always know what I'm doing, or I'm aware of what I'm doing, but when I am, 73% Doom moving into our last mystery, even though we spent about 40% Doom getting Ghostly Spear. Yeah, it's pretty good. Do I just gamble here again? Could. 90 damage. Do you have a damage increase from somewhere? Why did I do... Anywho. So the only thing about using the crystal here is if I lose 2 stamina. I've just been lucky enough to lose 1 stamina every time. If that's not a coin flip's chance, then, I mean, there's no way for me to know. Oh, my goodness. The odds of that weren't that low, but I'm pretty sure it's closer to like 15%. But anywho, I didn't need to lose that thing. Now I'm just... Okay, I was about to say, if I missed all of those attacks... I do it out of interest, and I shouldn't do that, but like at this point, hey, I'm gonna no, let's just be safe here. I'm gonna actually visit the monument, because the one thing you can do in an Eldritch Parasite run is essentially hedge your bets. Now I shouldn't lose stamina there, but I'm gonna go to, yeah, if it keeps asking for reason or funds, I should be trying to do my best to fulfill the needs here. And in fact, in a weird scaling way, giving off funds and running to out of funds now is better than just doing a thing, although we will trade 6 more reason. And off we go. I'm actually going to take a curse as well, just so that we don't run into out of funds. And yeah, so here's one example of a spell that you don't usually care about. I mean, in this case I do, because I want to use Ghostly Spear, but we have the Doom at the moment, it's fine. But usually Curse Signs is a spell that you don't really care about. A curse that you usually don't care about getting. And in fact, more stacks of Curse Signs on a run where you are not using spells is good for if you visit the tree twice. Or, like I said, you could get branded once or twice, and then, and if you get it once, maybe you get Survivor's Guilt, and then you have to choose between taking 10 Doom or proccing 10 Doom or more. So yeah. But in the meanwhile, so I think it's 1 Doom per cast, but still that's better than just taking 4 Doom in the face here. So numerically, it still works out. I could handcuff this, but we have Tachi-san. We might as well wait for a worse moment. And then we just go all out here. Could spread my accuracy amongst the attacks I don't have boosts, but it's fine. And in fact, the Crestfallen Mask still beats out the map. I'll out of curiosity, maybe I'll do a special episode where I carry the map and force 2 to 3 mysteries that take me into the forest, mansion, and or the thing, or just village and forest. Sorry, but you get the point of what I'm trying to say here. And at this point, I should probably smoke these cigarettes. But off we go. If we run out of cigarettes, it's fine because we still have Ghostly Spear, but yeah. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to run away for here. Because I could handcuff everyone who's chasing us through the forest. And if you don't know what I mean, you're about to find out, I think. So, run away. Nope. Failed a dexterity check. Failed a strength check. 12 and 9 rolls. Anywho. I actually don't want to take all of that. So what we're actually going to do here... And in fact, I could have gotten rid of Curse, by the way. So let's actually get rid of Curse Signs here. And then cast all of our Ghostly Spears. So... yeah, we should have like at least 4 casts of Ghostly Spear before you have to worry at all, really. And I could handcuff this encounter, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Actually, we hit 10 yeah, we hit 10 max stamina, but still. Yeah, and it's very funny when your box cutter does a lot of... Are we on a random? I know. Why do I have 4 damage? I'm going crazy. Why do I have 4 damage? I actually don't know. It's not Nicotine Rush, right? Yeah, it's not. Anywho, moving on with life. So, unless we got appointed bonus damage in which I wasn't looking, but you get the point. We should be relatively okay, and if I die, it's my fault. So, yeah, Charisma, and never mind. For some reason I thought Charisma was Stamina, so let me correct myself way in the beginning. We lose 5 Reason, but we don't need to worry about that at all, because we have 11 Reason. So, could I have visited the monument again? I think if it asked for 7 Reason, I'd be dead, so forget what I just said. We took Recluse second, and yeah, fun times ahead. But yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point what we take here, because none of those are going to help us. The stat point, the free stat point to take, it actually helps us out the most. But as we sit here and just do this, and we'll curse Dull once just to feel cool. But after we handcuff Takuya-san, that should be end of the run. End of the run. Oh my goodness, my word, all about the mumbling. If Future Jordan remembers, then I know what the thumbnail is going to be. But anywho, it might actually be Akamanto. It was not. I think I said it wasn't Akamanto. Anywho, doesn't matter, we survived. And if you want to say anything or you want to see anything, let me know. Otherwise, commenting, I mean, I'll always try to look at comments. And I'll thank you for watching. Not going to take much more of your time. Bye!